Hi, I'm Heather Lively. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Wellspring Living. One of my roles here is to help create a work environment that is warm and supportive for our team members who care directly for the women and children who come through our doors. It's important that they feel supported emotionally, professionally, in ways that they can endure the hardships that they experience through the lens of these women and children. Thank you so much for your support and learning more about Wellspring in this way.
Hi, my name is Portia Calhoun. I am a behavioral health supervisor at Wellspring Living at the RHC location. I've been doing this work now for the past 4 years directly with RHC. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I love seeing the girls. I love seeing their growth. I love seeing their improvement. I love seeing them set personal goals and pretty much reunite with their families, reunite with themselves, most importantly, connecting with God and finding themselves in the process with us. Even though it's a short period of time, which is 90 days, we see so much growth and so much development, and it's rewarding in itself just seeing these kids just come in and seeing them from starting out and to growing into this beautiful butterfly that they have become, planting and cultivating the soul and enriching their lives.
So as program director for the Girls Residential Program, I oversee the operations day to day of the staffing and programming. I also ensure that the needs of the young ladies are being met. And one of the most challenging things that I realize is getting them acclimated and to buy into programming. It's really hard to come into a space where you have to ask permission for many things. But the rewarding side of that is seeing them build rapport with us, learning to trust us, learning to communicate their needs. My why is from day one, seeing them enter the program and walking alongside them throughout that transformation until their last day within the program.
I'm Christina Dobbs, Stewardship Manager at Wellspring Living, and I love what I do. I am naturally a people person, and I feel that God truly ordained my steps to be here so that I could connect our donors with our needs of our participants and our programs. I love what I get to do. I get to interact with our donors. I get to interact with our programs in an effort to advance the mission and the vision of Wellspring Living.
So nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. I'm sorry.
A brave bold soul that was once innocent. My heart might have turned cold, but my mind, through my trauma, I've gotten stronger. Never forget. Smile still bright as gold. Never mistaken. I once wore my standards and stood in my room, but that doesn't define me. So there's no point in giving up. Fast forward to today, with way too much on. Barely can celebrate it. I'm gonna continue to move forward and push through the storm. Hopefully, the good days will soon fall.
Okay, we're about to get started. Hello everyone, my name is Victoria. We're so glad that you're here today. I am the development and online. I'm the development director for Wellspring Living, and what that means is two things. The first is I get to work with some really cool people who do amazing work transforming lives. The second is every time you see me, I'm going to ask for money. That's not a threat. It's just job security. So for those of you here today, in the program, there is a QR code for you to donate, and we also have envelopes as well that you can take home and mail something back to us if you are moved by what you hear today. And for those of you online, there is a link in the description that you can follow to give. But of course, today is not just about fundraising. We are opening up a window to our work so that you can see through the eyes of people who are doing it every day as it's really happening. Our work today is inspired by a scripture, Psalms 91:11. which says that he will, wait, let me tell you exactly what it is. I knew this was gonna happen. He will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And we know that angels are here with us, including you. So we are going to begin with prayer. Lord, thank you so much for this moment, for bringing us here today. Thank you so much for the voices that we will hear from today. Lord, we ask that you open our hearts to be moved in many ways, not just through awareness, but through action. Lord, please bless the children who are in our programs and the staff as they come and they go with your strength and your courage. In your son's name we pray, amen. Okay, now a proper welcome from our CEO.
Awesome. I am so grateful to be with you all today, and I just had a very delicious Starburst, so forgive me if you see a little red in my cheek. But this is a great opportunity for us to be in the community that really has been a key part of supporting Wellspring Living since we were started in 2001. And I happen to have just had some special time with our founder, Mary Frances, yesterday. As some of you all may know, we've been in this journey of an expansion project on our South Campus, and it means that there's been a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of giving and support from our community. And as this building is going up, we are just making sure that we are doing everything as we can to think about the future for those that we serve. And so, what did we, about 20 minutes from here is a special place that we call the South Campus. It's where our girls' residential program is. And I've been on calls all this week. I was just telling Josette and Greg, through Tuesday evening, through about 10 p.m., I was on the phone about participants who were youth who needed to come to our services and our programs, either the South Campus or the Receiving Hope Center that's in Paulding County. And though those youth come from many different places, many different zip codes, many different families that may look very different from ours or may look very similar, what I know is that they are all loved, they're all cherished. They're all meant to really believe and have the opportunity to believe in their dreams. And as we were talking about this circle of hope, the circle of opportunity, there's so many things that come to my mind. I think about my wedding anniversary, which was actually just this past Saturday. And as we celebrated 10 years and renewed our vows, I'm reminded about the importance of our wedding rings, right? And about wedding rings being a symbol of the infinite love that comes, that goes in circles and goes through cycles. Sometimes can go through fire, sometimes it goes through joy and through many blessed moments. That circle can never be broken, it can never be taken apart. And I am prayerful that as we think about where we are today and the beautiful future that we're walking in towards, that we will consider everyone here and everyone who's online and those who can't be here with us to be a part of that circle. Because that's the type of love, that's the type of support, that's the type of dedication that the children and the adults that we serve really demand and really deserve. So I know the fundraising goal for this special campaign is to raise $90,000 for our youth programs, and when I think about the impact of $90,000, I think about so many things. And I told someone I was not going to get too emotional about it, but I think about the opportunities, right? I think about the simple moments that happen from things like field trip experiences, from being able to shop and put on new clothes, to be able to have therapeutic care that maybe you've not had access before, or maybe you just never really believed that someone was listening and that someone cared. And I think that sometimes, as humans, we overlook some of the good things that happen in our lives because life can feel really hard. But what I know for sure is that for those youth that we serve, youth as young as 12, as old as 17, that they've had a life that's maybe very different than what we've experienced, that they also really deserve those small glimmers of hope. And even though we may not be able to always see the fruition of their life and what it looks like after they leave Wellspring Living, we all know that we're planting a seed of hope in their life that we hope will plant, will take root and will sprout and will grow into beautiful things in the future. And so with that, I was only supposed to give a few minutes and I went way off script, but I'm really excited to talk about the Circle of Care and introduce a very special volunteer, and her name is Josette. Josette joined and became a part of Helping Wellspring Living in 2021. That's actually a year after we opened our crisis center. That is a year after we started serving the highest amount of youth we've ever experienced in our history. When I think about that year after, I think about the volunteers like Josette who have seen us through moments that have been really beautiful, but also moments that have been really complex. And this circle of care means that we all get to be a part of this journey, as I said, and I will now read the script that I've been given. Over the years, Josette has been an invaluable asset to the Girls Residential Program. As a dedicated volunteer, whether chaperoning outings, managing our boutique, assisting in the classroom, or providing academic support, Josette consistently brings joy and inspiration to everyone she encounters. CB, one of our youth participants, shared, "I love Mrs. Josette dearly. She thinks about all of us and uses resources to support us personally and emotionally." While others have also described her as humble, caring, hardworking, and elegant. Josette has been instrumental in helping us to fulfill our mission, and we wholeheartedly appreciate her service and her dedication to the amazing youth that we serve. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the stage Josette Gibble.
Thank you, you're welcome. Hello. Okay.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm a survivor of human trafficking. And today I'm here just to tell you a piece of my story. Growing up in Tennessee, I was in I would say, abnormal household. It was made like a normal thing to give a man a piece of yourself, and he give you money. And if you didn't come back to another guy giving the money, there was a lot of abuse going on. And so when I got old enough to, let's say, start liking boys or start to date, it was almost like, oh, you can't talk on the phone if he's not giving you any money. Oh, he can't take you to the movies if he's not paying for this, or if he's not going to feed you. And so I went into different relationships with that attitude. In my early 20s, I decided to move from my hometown. When I moved, I met this guy. He was very charming. He took me everywhere with him. He bought me nice things. We made all these plans to get a house together, live together, and just start living. And one day, he just changed, and knowing what I know now, he was using drugs, and I had no clue that he was using drugs. And so I loved him so much, I was like, okay, I want to do what you're doing. And so he introduced me to the drugs. And from then on, we kind of became this team. It almost started to play back when I was young, okay, I kind of know this rodeo. Let me go make the money, I'll bring it back, we can do the drugs. And then when I didn't want to do it, that's when the abuse started. I was being locked into a room and not able to eat for several days if I didn't make a certain amount of money. And one day I just prayed, God, let me get out of this. Let me get back to who I know you brought me here to be. I know I have a purpose in this world. I know I'm supposed to be a great person. Let me get out of this situation. But it took a minute for me to find myself. Because I ended up leaving that guy, but it's like I found that same guy in every other guy that I met. So I was in this cycle, and I was not able to break it. And one day I got on Facebook, and I got word of a high school friend of mine was missing. And she was a victim of trafficking as well, years later. And she was found, her remains were found. And so that scared me so bad. I snuck out one day, got in my car, and I drove 12 and a half hours to Georgia, only stopping for gas and Red Bulls. I felt like something was chasing me almost. I said, I have to find an outlet. I want to be able to talk to somebody and not feel judged. Got online, I started doing my research. I was calling different shelters. And when I say that first conversation already made me feel like somebody cared about me. They cared about my well-being. And going into that program, getting accepted and going into that program changed my life. I was able to attend different classes, especially anger management was a big one for me because I did not know how to communicate or have effective communication. It was either a lot of cursing or I wanted to get upset and fight, and I didn't know how to express myself at all. And after anger management, I would say CBT, the Cognitive Behavioral Therapy group, was a really big one for me as well. So it was like, we're gonna rewire your thinking, we're gonna change the way you think. But going through those groups and finding a program helped me get myself back, my self-love, my dignity. And so I always had this dream as a kid, like I wanna be this famous hairstylist, makeup artist. I wanna own my own salon, my own spa. And so going to WRP, and I was able to obtain my high school diploma. I was able to enroll in cosmetology school. I'm now a part-time cosmetology student. And when I say I feel like I finally found my purpose, I'm living the life that I was supposed to live. I'm now almost 3 years sober. I have a support system that I feel like I could talk to about anything and go to them about anything. And so it's just a blessing to be a part of Wellspring Living, be an advocate for them. And it's also a blessing to have my life back.
Well, it seems like Kendra just said it all, and we should all just go home. She did a beautiful job. As Christian said, my name is Josette Gibble. My husband and I moved here to Atlanta 5 years ago. And when we moved here, I wanted to be part of this new community. We planned on being here for a while, and I just wanted to join in. I wanted to find a group that had the passion I had for survivors of sex trafficking. And I definitely found it within Wellspring. I have been working at GRP, the Girls Residential Program, for the last 4 years. I go in every Thursday. And as an outsider, meaning I came into a system that was already working, I also come in only 1 day a week. So I get to see these changes that are happening that when you're there every day, you might not be able to notice. One of the big things I was able to find is that Wellspring Living has a synergy amongst its group, its staff, that does all the little parts to create this amazing big miracle. And that's what Kendra was talking about, the amazing miracle that helped her through what she had gone through to become this amazing woman with big plans in life. And that's what Wellspring wants to do. Wellspring has a purpose. The purpose is to take each individual girl and to give her safety and protection, to give her guidance on how to grow through this journey and encouragement to do it. And the staff does this every single day. So let's meet the staff and have them come up so you can ask them questions. We have first Assistant Director Erica Martinez. We have Behavior Supervisor Shantae Riley. And Senior Director of Youth Services Nikita Williams. So, working at Wellspring is not a part-time job. It is something that you bring your heart to. You have to. You're working with human lives. And these women do it professionally and so well. So let's find out what they do for Wellspring Living. Erica?
So again, my name is Erica Martinez. I am the Assistant Director of the Girls Residential Program. And together, myself and the Program Director, we manage daily operations of the residential facility. I particularly manage the behavioral health team to ensure that we're creating a safe and supportive space for our participants.
Shante?
Hi again, my name is Ashante Riley. I'm a behavioral health supervisor. For me, my daily role looks like pretty much collaboration with the director as well as the assistant director, just to make sure that we ensure just a smooth transition of day-to-day operations. So that may look like just make sure we provide a safe space for staff as well as the participants that we serve.
And Nikita?
Hello, and my name is Nikita Williams, the Senior Director of our Youth Programs, and I provide professional oversight to both our Girls Residential Program and our Receiving Hope Center. To more detailed, I work directly with the program directors, ensuring that they're creating a safe and inclusive environment for all the young ladies. And young men, I forgot that our Receiving Hope Center, we do have both.
So they, our staff here, they are the pieces of the pie. And so we're gonna ask them some questions to find out what they do and how they do it with our participants. Erica, what kind of things do you do to teach the young people at GRP?
Our primary focus at GRP is teaching empowerment. On a daily basis, we're providing them with the tools that they need to rebuild their lives and truly transform. Particularly myself, Riley, and Ms. Nikita, we're teaching them how to trust again. That's the first thing. And once they learn to do that, then we can build some healthy relationships. We can model those healthy relationships that they need. Teaching them healthy communication, their social skills. Through our daily programming, we're teaching them basic life skills. Oftentimes we find that when we receive them in our care, they don't know. They don't know how. They've never had a protective caregiver in their lives that truly cared for them to teach them those basics. So we're teaching them how to properly wash themselves, how to dress appropriately, how to make their bed, how to make breakfast, as well as other life skills. But I think the most important thing that we truly get to teach them is their self-worth, identifying their strengths so that they can truly heal from their trauma.
Nikita, how do you support kids in healing their trauma?
So at Wellspring, we support youth in healing their trauma. We have therapists at both of our locations. So participants are able to receive individual therapy as well as group therapy and even family therapy. So we help them through that also through enrichment programs, empowerment programs as well.
And you will meet with the girls when they first arrive. Can
Yes.
you tell us what that's like?
So when they first arrive, they usually meet with the intake specialist. And when the intake specialist creates an individualized plan for them. From that, they also, depending on which location it is, well, no, both locations have HSPs. So they meet with the HSPs, which is our human service providers, I just want to make sure I get it correctly. And they go more in detail to what they need. And then they also set up appointments with the therapist. So within the first 7 days, each participant will have met with the intake specialist, the human service provider, as well as the therapist.
And does this help that they don't have to go to the police station and the hospital and all these other places? They get it all done in one.
Yes, because it helps not only build that relationship and that trust, given their circumstances and where they may be coming from, it's hard to trust people. It's hard to be that vulnerable. So with it being with people that are in-house, on-site, it makes the process a lot, I ain't gonna say easy, but it makes it easier for them.
But they don't have to relive the same thing over and over again at different institutions.
That is correct.
Thank you. Shante, what are some of the things that you do to help the girls feel connected when they're having a really bad day?
Some of the things I would say that I personally do is just providing a safe space. Working at the Girls Residential Program, a lot of the girls just want to feel heard and validated. So what that looks like is making sure the team that I work with, that we are skilled enough to support in any way we can. So, for example, if one of our participants is having a bad day, and they just kind of need that space and time to vent, we allow them to have that space. So that may look like maybe going outside for some fresh air, putting them in a more calming environment so that they feel comfortable to let you know exactly what's going on. I think sometimes we kind of look on the surface and we think, okay, well, they're just acting out, but there's always a reason why they're acting out. So just kind of going in depth and really figuring out what's the source of the issue, figuring out how to create a solution and allowing them to have input. When they feel like they have input, then it helps change the situation in a major way. So that's just kind of how we do it.
And it seems that when you do that, you're also empowering the girls and teaching the girls to do it on their own next time that Ms. Shantae is not sitting there.
Correct. Yeah, so we always want to empower them we want to walk alongside of them through the situation, but also give them the tools so that if I'm not present or their go-to staff is not present, that they do have the skills to do it.
Thank you. Nikita, how do you help a child who's had a really hard past start to believe in themselves again and find a positive look?
I think how we do that is one through the programs, but also one thing our staff do really well is they build a relationship. So they build that trusting relationship. They're empowering. They're letting them know that you're not tied down to your past. You're not identified by your past. And to equipping them with the skills and the mindset to create a better future. I feel like that's the best way that we do to help them to get from their trauma. And the therapy services.
Erica, how do you help the girls get ready to go back to their life after leaving Wellspring?
Good question. Nikita and Ashante kind of touched on that. We do that through discharge planning, and that starts from the onset when they enter our door, when the HSP, the human service professional, is sitting down with them and helping them identify goals. And each participants have their own unique needs, desires, and goals. So when the case manager sits down, they're doing collaboration where they're working on that together. They're setting the goals, they're setting steps for the goal, the time frame they're going to reach that goal. Aside from that, we're also through therapy, as she mentioned, helping them build strategies to learn how to cope beyond our doors. And lastly, I can't forget to mention the practical life skills that they're learning through job readiness, helping them identify their talents so that when they exit our doors, they can obtain their first job, creating a resume. We also have partnerships within the community that can help them expand on those talents. So that way they're armed. So when they leave, they feel confident that they can do this on their own.
And you've said it so beautifully that it's a connection of all these jobs. And that's what I find so amazing when I said synergy about Wellspring Living. It couldn't be done with just Erica or Miss Nikita. It is the connection of these three women and the other staff and professionals that are doing work similar to them or helping them that they get the job done. And so it does. It takes a village. You hear that all the time. And the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, Wellspring has a very established, connected village that work so well together. So let's venture into that and ask some questions about how you work together as teams. Ms. Shantae, how do you make sure a young person gets help from the different parts of Wellspring at the right time?
For me, it's just identifying the need, whether it be a clinician, just doing some internal collaboration. It may be a need for, they want to learn about a new skill. So what that looks like is just kind of tapping into with our enrichment coordinator and just connecting those pieces for our participants. One thing I can say is they are very vocal. They'll tell you what they need from the day they leave to the day they come in. They're gonna always tell you what they need. So just hearing them out, making sure that if I can't provide what they need in that moment, that I loop in Miss Erica or Miss Demita or just anybody in the building that I know is able to provide the services. And sometimes what that may look like is even going outside for some external services. So just making sure whatever our participants need, I just find a way to make sure I can provide that for them.
What is it that your team does that makes it easier for the young people at Wellspring Living to support?
The biggest thing that I would say they do is show up. I think showing up is very important in this work. showing up with an open mind, open heart. Wellspring does an awesome job of training staff and making sure that the staff are equipped with the skills and essential needs to provide the supportive care. So our biggest thing right now with the organization is we're going to TBRI, which is Trust-Based Relationship Intervention, where we focus on equipping the staff with the skills to build those relationships with youth. And that makes the experience more beneficial for the staff as well as the youth.
Another question.
Okay.
Can you give us an example of a time when the team came together to help someone in particular, an individual?
We do that a lot, but I will.
Just one that you want to share.
I will highlight. We had a situation over the weekend, or no, I'm gonna say last week, where we had a former participant reach out. They reached out to the on-call emergency line, and they expressed some concerns that they were having with their living situation. And so the staff that answered the phone, they immediately sent out an email. We were able to get our partners on the line, which were CAGCDA. The staff kind of rallied behind her, DJJ, to get the resources that she needed to get in contact with her, have somebody go meet her where she is, and look into the process of getting her back in Wellspring.
Again, your emphasis on community, the village, all working together for this individual.
Yes.
Ms. Shante, what is the small thing you've seen a team member do that is not part of their job description that made a big difference in one of the participants?
Often, I see that often, honestly. I would say a lot of the girls or participants that we serve now, some of them do experience low self-esteem. So it may be clothing needs, it may be a hair hygiene need. I often see staff just taking the time out of the day, like if they have resources at home, they'll say, hey, go through the approval, can I bring in some hair, whatever the case may be, and they take the time to do the kids' hair. So what that looks like is sometimes they're not even on the clock, and they'll sit and they'll do the girls' hair for hours because they want to make sure that they're able to provide something for them outside of just their job. So just that time and commitment and that compassion that they have for the participants. So I see it often.
And what teenage girl does not like having her hair done?
Correct, especially at the girls' residential. They love to look good because it makes them feel good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in the last 4 years, I have seen girls arrive to Wellspring. They quite often, not always, but quite often come very angry. They're upset, they're confused, they're lost. It's a new place, they don't know what's happening and what they're gonna find on the other side of those doors. And I've had the privilege to watch these ladies work and others to see 5 months later, 10 months later, a year later, where they are making their own decisions. They're confident enough to say, no, I will not do that. Or, let me see how I can figure out a good way of doing that. They're taking control of their lives, and that's something that they've never had before, perhaps. So Wellspring has given them the protection and the guidance and the encouragement to be able to now, after going through this, to do these things and make these decisions. Wellspring is unique in that, well, in many ways, but one particular way is that Wellspring does not work on credit. And I know that most businesses do. So this is something very different that Wellspring does that I think is incredibly impressive. They do not do the job until they can financially support the job that they want to do. They will create a plan, they will create a vision, they will create how we want to get this done, but they wait for the support of the communities around Wellspring to actually be able to do the work and get it done. And that's why we are asking for support from our community to be able to grow and to do more for these girls or work with more girls. So at this time, is there any questions that anyone has? Yes.
How do you celebrate when they meet a big milestone or a goal?
I can answer that. We have an array of different things. One thing could be if they are about to discharge, they successfully discharge from the program, we do a big celebration. So what that looks like is tying in our community, reaching out to the volunteers. They put on this big celebration. I was able to experience one graduation, and it was remarkable. And what it looks like is the girls get to pick exactly like the color scheme, the food that they want. They get to invite their support people as well outside of Wellsprings, and we put on this big production. We even have where we have a projector screen, and we just show all the memories and all the milestones that they achieved since they've been in the program. So that's one thing we do. We do a discharge celebration.
Anything else?
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
How do we prepare for the participants to transition from the program? What does that process look like? And what if they don't have a plan for their next steps?
We do that through discharge planning, but it all depends. We have client or participants that are private, where they have, we're not necessarily in the system. We have participants that are in the system, so that looks different. But generally, I found that we work collaboratively with DFACS, the Department of Children and Families, and we help them identify their next step. The therapist typically is involved in that process, and we help them identify their home, and we ensure that it's a safe home so that they don't return back to us.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about how the people in this room can get more involved? How can we give? What can we do? How can we support you?
Support comes in a lot of ways when it comes to Wellspring. Support can be volunteering. If you have a service or anything that you want to provide to the youth or the participants. Support comes in advocacy. We need more awareness about what it is that we're doing, as well as the needs of the young people that we serve. Support can also be financial. We have to be completely transparent. It costs to provide the services that we provide. On a smaller scale, whenever we get a new participant, they don't get hand-me-down stuff. We go to the store, we purchase them new bedding, new curtains, we make them feel at home. They get to have a room that they get to decorate. All those things cost. When it comes to food, we don't have a chef that comes and cooks food. Our staff provides, cooks the food, sometimes with the participants. Just financially is a big thing, but advocacy and showing up and that volunteerism, those are just a few ways that you can support.
Yes.
What keeps you motivated as staff members in this area? And I'm also curious about what keeps you up at night. What worries you?
Oh, I'll start, but what motivates me is the participants and seeing the work that we do, seeing the change from when they first walk in the door to when they leave, the smiles when they're excited to see you. Coming into this work, I'm gonna be honest with you, you don't really know what you're getting into. I think we see it on TV, we see just a fragment of what human trafficking really is. So when you're building these relationships with the participants and you're hearing their stories, but they're not only just the stories of where they were before they came, but how they're motivated and inspired since being a part of the program, that's what motivates me. What keeps me up at night is knowing that there's hundreds, thousands of participants that we may never be able to touch and help. So I think and I also feel like that's why it's important for us to raise awareness and let people know that this is really happening, and it's happening in our back doors. Backyards, I'm sorry.
I would have to agree as well. The participants is what motivates me. Just coming day in and day out and building that rapport and getting to know them and hearing their stories. And when you hear some of their stories, you have empathy, but also too, there's a resilience about them that's admirable. So for me, the participants really motivate me to come in and day out and to just continue to help, support, and be impactful in any way I can. What keeps me up at night is just kind of how Ms. Nikita said, is there's so many other survivors out there who need our help. So definitely just making sure that we can continue to do the work that we do, because it's not hard work, it's hard work.
And I share the same sentiments. What motivates me is helping the participants. I'm a fixer. I enjoy helping others, so I get through that. I get to do that through my work. And what keeps me up is when they're not ready to receive our help, and we have to help them get there.
Another question?
Yes, can you just quickly share with us a typical day in the life of a participant? What are the things that they're doing therapeutically within the community, and also educationally?
Yes, I can help with that. This is what our daily programming look like for our participants. In the morning, they're waking up around like 6 in the morning. If they need medication, they're receiving those medication. We're getting them ready for school. School is on site, and we have a whole entire team. After school, we get them ready to what we call a reset, where they can have some time for themselves, and they can journal, do whatever they wish to do. And once they're done, we do a lot of therapy. We do individual therapy, group therapy. We also have engagement with our volunteers that's doing various activities with them. And then after that, they have leisure time where they can be themselves and be in the community with one another. Am I missing anything?
In addition, I can say that we are doing a lot of community reintegration. So what that looks like is we go on outings. Our girls love to experience being in a community. So when we're in a community, we're just setting expectations of what it looks like for them to be in that space, making sure that they are being safe, that we are supervising them, and that it's just a healthy environment for them. So some of the things they love to do is arcades. Our girls at the Girls Residential Program, they love to skate. They love cosmetology. So a lot of community reintegration is what we do at the Girls Residential Program.
They pretty much said everything. So they're the ones that's like in the day in, day out with the participants. I get the opportunity to kind of just pop in, pop out, and kind of support them in whatever that they have going on.
So I would like to thank the panel for coming. I would like to thank you online and here for taking some time to find out what Wellspring does, like some really details about how it works together and how that village is built and the community and what the girls get from it. When the girls are about to leave, I commonly will ask, so what would you tell the person that walked in here, yourself, or a new student coming in? And if they're graduating, they will say, I will tell them to trust the system, to do the work, believe in it. Because if you just stay the course, you won't even know what you could imagine, and it's going to be there for you. And then they'll shed some tears, and then they'll say goodbye. So we'd like to say goodbye and thank you for coming and being with us today. Victoria?
Wonderful. Yeah, you can come on down. Thank y'all so much. All right, it's me again. It's me again. So I want to also acknowledge the staff that we have in our room. So I am the development director, senior development director, but we have a whole team of folks who have also helped prepare for this moment. You've probably heard from us, received some things from us telling you about this, and I want to shout out the development team, our enrichment coordinators, volunteer managers, all of our staff who are part of this process, and also all the staff who are not here. So the three that you saw on the stage and our amazing volunteer Josette represent a ton of people who are in our programs every day that make this work possible, and of course our community extends beyond that. There's one thing that I want to leave with you guys, a number. So on average, it costs $500 per day to care for a child at Wellspring Living. But as you heard today, it's not about the bed or the food or even the doctor's appointment or the clothes. It's about the people. It is about our staff, someone to greet them when they first come in. They are probably having a really bad day when they come into Wellspring Living. And our staff are the ones who say, what do you need? I know you've had a hard day. What do you need? And then they listen. They're coming back after hours to help girls, doing their hair, going above and beyond. You guys have heard so much. And those moments are the things that really drive healing. So I hope that you have heard something today that moves something in you. I know every time I hear our staff speak, I do. And of course, if you are led to give, you can do so through the link, through the QR code, or you can also drop something off. I almost forgot this. We have treasure stores here in Peachtree City on, how do I explain it, East Marketplace?
It is, yeah, on the Highway 54.
On Highway 54.
Going east, it's in the public.
Going east in the public shopping center. Yes. So, an excuse to drop off a donation, either some donations from your home or of course a financial donation. They have amazing things at our store. And we're so grateful for you for joining and for being a part of our circle. Farewell.